Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 170 of a year of change. Today we are going to talk about something that it's something that is sort of occurred a couple of times with me, and it's not anything that I've really talked about. When we sort of started this off, there's always been that sense of community that we want to get more people in, and people that are looking for a way to lose weight and things like that to come in and greet them and say, oh, you come in and we can help you out, and sort of share information back and forth with different people. But over the past few months, there have been two different people that have, well, two or three different people actually, that have asked me and said, what are you doing? And just to get a little bit more information about it and stuff like that. And I realize it's a little difficult. I mean, it's fine to sort of send someone up and say, oh, well, go try this. This is the diet I'm on. So you go up and you say, oh, go look up keto, or go look up paleo, or, go look up gastric bypass, whatever it is that people are doing. It's another thing entirely to sort of say, come work with me on this. It's nice to have someone to sort of not really compete with, but someone that you're going to go along with. For some of you that are out there, whether it's your husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, which always sounds like a cowboy thing, but whoever it is that, if the two of you are trying to lose weight, and there's actually a couple that we're going to see tomorrow that are sort of doing the weight loss thing together as well, you have someone that you can sort of feed off of, that you can bounce ideas back and forth, that you're in it together, you have that support system, that one-on-one, which is a little different than just sort of going online and seeing a video or doing a workout or anything like that. But it's a little different when it's like a friend or a stranger or a coworker that's, starting to ask you questions, because it's a little difficult to say, well, here's what I've been doing, and then say, if you want, you can do the same thing, and without coming across and going, you're fat too, you should do this with me. It'll be good. And because each person's going to have their own point that they get to, where I did a few months ago, where you go, you know what, enough is enough. I have to do something. I've tried this and this and this. I've tried things throughout my entire life. I need to try something different, something that is going to make a positive change, and something that's, it sounds like the song from the fucking Lion King, something that's going to be a good thing. It's not just false positivity and just going, oh, everything's going to be awesome. But something that's going to make a change for the better, something that's going to be long-term, something that I'm just not going to lose, 30 or 40 pounds and then say, okay, there, I'm done. I can go back to the way it was. It takes a long time to get to that. And I've had a couple of people that have said, oh, yeah, well, no, I really want to start. And I've sort of started them in on it and said, well, here's what I do. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I suggest you start with. Generally, it's usually just sending them up to MyFitnessPal to start with. And, oh, there's a big motorcycle. I'll wait for that to go by. Did you hear that? And that's like through closed doors and windows and walls, and as opposed to open walls. But yeah, everything. Anyway, okay, so they're gone. So when you're starting out with someone, all I can't really sort of say, well, here's what you should do to get them started in on it, because each person is going to have their own momentum. It's going to be really up to them to sort of start things off. But there have been a couple of people that I said, no, join up with me. I'll put you into MyFitnessPal. I'll show you what I track and how things go. And you can say, even if you're starting out saying during the first week, don't count anything, just track stuff to get into that pattern. Because I find for me that routine helps. Tracking absolutely everything every single day keeps me on track, keeps me under the numbers, and then just making sure that I sort of get into a routine, so that, because it is difficult to sort of break through that. But inevitably, they'll go for a couple of days and then they miss a day. And then they go for a couple more days and then they'll miss a day. And it's a real fine line between saying, no, you should really come and do this with me, and without coming across as being, a scolding nanny and just going, you didn't log your stuff the other day. You're evil and shitty and bad and everything else. So I have a couple of people that have actually asked me, well, what do you do? And I start explaining and saying, well, you go on here, everything is free, you track this and you track that. And generally they go, oh, okay, well, maybe I will. But it's difficult to try to sort of keep someone motivated one-on-one without coming across as being pushy. With the videos, it's a little bit different. because you've made the decision to come here every day and watch, ideally, 15 minutes, just to sort of keep you on track and say, okay, well, here's a neat subject that we can look at, or here's another person that I can get a little bit more information from, or, that method works better than I do, or you find, oh, look, I like pickles because I don't want to eat chips, or whatever it is. You're going to take something away from it, whether it's from me or from one of the other YouTubers that we have on here. But when it's a one-on-one thing, unless it's someone that has decided, yes, let's do this at the same time, and it's kept on going with you, it's difficult to try to keep them motivated and keep yourself motivated at the same time. And it's not really a matter of saying, well, if I've got to choose, I'm going to just pick myself. But when it comes down to it, that's really what you need to do. Because you've only got so much energy. And if you're keeping yourself motivated and the other person just isn't into it, trying to push so much energy back into them and say, no, come on, come do this with me. And, we have to keep going. It's either going to cause, stress between the two of you, or it's going to cause a fight, or it's going to cause you to become exhausted and just saying, what the hell with it. I'm just going to throw in a cheat day here, which of course leads into another one, and then a cheat week, and a month, and a year, and everything's bad. So when we have those friends or coworkers or, people that are saying that they want to start things out that way, it is really tough to try to say, okay, well, here's what I've been doing. And not exactly keep on them, but keep them interested more than motivated. That's probably a better way to put it. Because their motivation is going to come from something else. It's not going to come from you. They might see what you're doing and say, okay, well, it's obviously working, so I'm going to try something else. But just like ex-smokers and vegetarians, and it's one of those things that you don't want to go too far overboard and say, oh, well, you shouldn't be eating that because that's bad for you, and you need to start doing this every day. If you remember a few weeks ago, I was talking to someone and I was saying, here's what I want to start out with exercise and keep things nice and slow because I know I'll stick with it. And they said, well, you should start with marathons. What fucking idiot starts with a marathon? Like, you've never exercised before? Definitely start out low key, run 26 miles. You'll be fine. And then, of course, when I called them on it, and they went, oh, well, no, not do marathons, but, start with a 5K. Like, no, you don't start by running 5 kilometers, you fucking tool. Anyway, so you need to keep that in check because where you are now is not where they are. Think back 5-6 months ago when you were just starting out, how difficult it was, and over the first 2 or 3 weeks, how many times that you slipped up. And just remember, that's going to happen. The point is that, or the problem is that we tend to, when we do slip up, we tend to just go, fuck it, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I've already ruined my diet because I had a cookie. I might as well, I'm sitting here anyway, I might as well have 3 or 4. And then you look at it and go, well, that day's shot. Sorry. And then you think, well, it's Thursday, you know what, it's a long weekend. I'll take the weekend, I'll start again on Monday, which never happens. Or let's say, well, I'll start tomorrow, and then that turns into Monday, and then, well, I'll start at the beginning of the month. That'll be fine. There's like, well, no, I'll start, first day of summer. That's when I'm going to start. Because I want to do it for a year so that I'll have it that way. There's always those excuses that are coming through, but when, we do slip up like that, it's very important to let them know that, no, it's just a slip up. Yeah, so you went through and you went, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to have cookies all day. It's like, all right, well, just pick up now. You don't have to sort of reset it. Your day was, yes, thrown off, but you understand, whatever triggered that. So those will fall off. Those will get fewer and fewer and fewer as they go. You're always going to have them. There's never going to get to a point where you think, oh, you know what? I've had nothing but hummus and steamed ham, steamed chicken for the past 18 years. That's crazy. You're going to have 1 or 2 of those days in there that, more than 1 or 2 in 18 years, but you're going to have those days in there when you do slip up. When you just go, you know what? No, I just, there was chocolate-covered coffee beans, and I ate 500 of them. I ate an entire bag. Those are going to happen. It's getting to a point where we don't just throw in the towel when that happens anymore, because we're just so accustomed to trying something and it being too hard, and then we say, nope, quit, have our little binge, and then we get right back into it, which is why we end up gaining it all back as well. It's sort of making up for lost time. And when you're working with someone one-on-one, that is a real danger as well, because not only are they looking at it going, well, okay, well, I'm doing all right. Well, fuck it. I just want to do this. On top of that, they also have the embarrassment of having to come to you and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, which causes more stress, which causes them to eat more and everything else. So if you are working with someone that has seen the progress that you're making and they're saying, what are you doing? And you are sort of telling them about it and you want to work with them, just keep in mind where you were 6 months ago. And if I can use a gaming metaphor here, which I think I will, or a simile. No, I'm going to say a metaphor. I'll use it the same way. There's sort of that community of gamers that are out there that when you start up with a new game, you're like, okay, this is brand new, never played it before. I'm going to start, I'm dead. That's all right. I will respawn and start, dead again. And then inevitably, after about 5 minutes, you have someone saying, get the fuck off our server. And you think, I'm brand new, I've never played the game before. You've been playing this for 8 years, and you play it for 4 or 5 hours every single day. Of course you're going to be very good at it. But that elitist, snobbish attitude, saying, no, you can't do this, you should just get the fuck out. That's the same sort of attitude that we need to avoid when we're doing this with people. If you have someone that you're working with, just always remember, 6 months ago, you weren't doing exercise. You weren't watching your fat intake. You weren't watching your sodium. You weren't eating fruits and vegetables on a regular basis. You weren't drinking 8 cups of water or however many you're drinking. You were just eating whatever was there to the point where you got uncomfortably sick. And then as soon as you weren't full anymore, you ate more. And for some of us, you've eaten to the point where you have thrown up because you wouldn't stop. So just remember where you were 5 or 6 months ago. Not as a matter of weight or numbers or anything else, just in your behavior. And just keep that in mind when you're working with them, because that's what they need. They need someone that is going to be able to say, no, this is what it was like. This is, and in some cases, for me especially, when, I was in much worse shape than the people that have approached me. I can say, no, you have no idea. Like having a big 12 or 14-inch dinner plate heaped high with nacho chips and then salsa and sour cream and then half a block of cheese and eating 3 of those in a sitting for a snack, that's where I was. So, and it'd be very easy for me to go back there. I'd probably barf everywhere, but I would still do it. So just remember that, where you were when we first started out on this, not just to that stage of what your eating habits were, but that sense of desperation when you just said, I need to do something. I hate looking at myself in the mirror. I hate the way I feel. I'm so self-conscious. And whether it's paranoia or reality that you feel that people are sort of making fun of you all the time, which I always did and still do, just remember that mindset, because that's what they need. They need to have someone that's going to be able to understand. And it's very rare that you're going to have someone that... Smokers are different. Like when some people quit smoking, and then they're just like, smoking is a disgusting habit. You reek, and you shouldn't do this. It's poison and everything else. And you're just like, you used to smoke. Like, this isn't new information. Fuck off. I understand that. But I haven't seen anyone that was fat and lost all the weight that was really sort of nasty about it and had that air of superiority and that elitist attitude of, well, obviously you're just a piece of shit. You need to do what I did. Those are the people that have always been, either, if not athletic or slim, have never been fat. So just remember that where you were when we first started out on this, that you're at a very fragile state. That it's not going to take much, because you're at the stage now where emotionally it's gotten so bad that you need to make that change again. And so it's just a matter of keeping them on point and not really pushing them, but encouraging them. And not in the fake sort of go team kind of encouragement, but actual encouragement. And when they come back and say, I didn't track today, say, well, that's all right. Just track tomorrow, go through and just make sure that, these are the little things that you might overlook. You might look at it and say, okay, well, I didn't track that because I was out with friends and didn't have my phone with me, or I forgot about it when I was going on the website. It's like, okay, well, sorry. Sort of keep in mind that, yeah, you went over, but it just means you went over. It didn't mean that you failed what you're trying to do. It just meant that you went over. Those instances are going to get fewer as we go along. So it's just something to keep in mind, that if you have someone that has seen what you've been doing, and that wants to try it out with you, or that you're willing to work with, or someone that maybe you've approached, which is even weirder, that going up to someone going, hi, we've both been fat for years and I'm doing something about it and you're not. Let's do something. Something like that. I wouldn't really recommend that. They'll do it in their own time. Chances are, as fat people, we always have discussions back and forth. You know as well as I do that whenever you see someone, and whenever you hear of anyone going, oh no, they lost a lot of weight, really? And immediately you're like, what did they do? Is it something that I think I can do? Was it an exercise thing? Did they change what they were eating? Did they just start running every day? Did they just walk to work? What changes did they make? That interest is always there because we're always looking for something. And when you get to that point when you finally accept that, I'm going to cough. Sorry, really dry. When you get to that point where you can accept the fact that, okay, it's not going to be a miracle pill. It's going to be something that I have to work really hard at. But what is going to be the easiest path to take to get to where I want to be? That's when I think people are going to start making that change. So if you can approach them with that and say, look, here's what I've been doing. You can follow along with me. Add them to your MyFitnessPal. They don't even have to come up here yet. Just sort of bring them into what you're doing. And when they get accustomed to it, say, look, this is what we've been doing. Over the first week, I did this, and then I started looking at this person's video over here, and I started doing the workout from this person over here, and get a bunch of information. It's never good to just get information from one source. You need to broaden your horizons, spread everything out, and get as much information as you can, so you can make an informed decision and say, okay, well, that's bullshit, this is good, this is bad, and that is just weird. So, just a few of the things to sort of keep in mind when you're working with someone. If you have someone that has approached you and said, what are you trying to do to get them started in on stuff? Just, if you remember nothing else, just remember where you were when you first started, emotionally and psychologically and physically, and just keep that in mind and say, okay, start from square one. This is what I did on my very first day. And then have them go that way. Because on top of, you've succeeded with what you've been doing over the past 5 months, so you now have that 5 months of experience to fall back on and go, okay, here's what I did wrong. Share that with them, though, and say, here's what I found to be the most difficult. Here's where I stumbled. Here's what I should have probably done to make things easier. Because those experiences now give you a little bit more information that can improve on the next person doing it. So if you have someone that you're working with or that is, expressing some interest in them, certainly help them out as much as you can. You don't have to be, a drill sergeant. You don't have to be one of those go team, go team, go team, go kind of people. Just be there for them. And that's the most important thing, is to be supportive of them and make sure that when you're following along with them, that they don't feel that you're just, I'm too far ahead of you. I can't come back to where you are. That you're there to sort of help them when they're stumbling and walk them through stuff the same way that you would have wanted when you first started out. That's what's going to get them, that sort of motivation to keep going and keep them encouraged, and that's when they're going to start seeing the progress. Anyway, that was it. I just sort of wanted to send out a nice little, hey, if you've got people that you're working with, give them hugs and help them out a little bit that way. So we're going to keep this one fairly short. And yes, okay, there we go. Not too bad. So that's it for this video. I'll show you the new couple that we were talking about tomorrow, though, when we're doing that. So I'm going to go through and fiddle around with them. Anyway, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It'll make sense tomorrow. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know. But for right now, thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.